On a cool fall night, 76-year-old John Herrington became Michigan high school football's winningest coach. A career that has spanned 6 decades, Herrington is the only head coach to ever walk the Hawks sidelines. This was just another incredible accolade to a resume that also includes the most state championships than any other program in the Mitten, 13. A wealth of players that have competed at the highest collegiate levels, including 8 that made the NFL. An insatiable love for the game of football, John Herrington has passed down his infectious passion to countless athletes, students, coaches, and his community.
He had some sort of a authoritarian presence, but yet with some sort of humanity to him.
Nobody ever told me I could be better than my brother. And it was like, this guy really believes in me.
Used to play reel-to-reel Big Ten fight songs before the games in the old locker room. You know, he'd stick it out in the hallway, and that was how he would fire us up.
I remember showing up day one, and I was like, wow, this is run like a boot camp almost. It was yes sir, no sir. You had to do down-ups if you like talk back and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, like they're not playing around here.
Wednesday is the worst day of the week up at school, man. But doing all the down-ups, doing the laps, doing the hill runs. We running 14 reps up the hill every summer.
John was probably tearing up and crying, and she walked right up to him and said, "That's the worst football game you've ever called in your career." And that's the first thing that she said to him after that game. So it meant a lot to a lot of people.
But the big joke is he won't try. If it doesn't work the first play, he won't try it again in practice. I'm like, Coach, you gotta give him more than one chance to make it work. We're scrapping that when it won't work. We only tried it one time.
He's known for his laugh. He's known for his walk. You know, he's known for being a coach, a teacher. Even stonewashed jeans he's known for.
He pulls out and proceeds to run over my brand new garbage can, tore it up something fierce, and my wife said, boy, I hope he's a better football coach than he is a driver instructor.
I could tell you what he really said, but it's close enough.
This is Legends, John Herrington. John Herrington is a Michigan high school football institution. Since the 1960s, John has devoted his life to young people, both as a teacher and football coach. A lifelong Michigander, John grew up in Waterford, Michigan, where he would attend Waterford Township High in the 50s. Besides maybe an occasional trip to Pontiac, kids played sports. Football in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring and summer. Basketball, that was his passion. In fact, he'd walk on and make the team at Central Michigan. As far as football goes, as a teenager, and like a lot of football fans in the 50s, Herrington loved the Lions' Bobby Lane. Believe it or not, the Lions won 3 championships in the 50s, and one day, John would name his son after Bobby Lane. Now, John's high school football teams weren't very good, and Herrington certainly didn't help matters.
He had an astounding 1-8 record my senior year. And I remember dropping the pass in the homecoming game that could have won it. I could still look down on that football field and remember where I dropped it.
After graduating college and along with his high school sweetheart Fran, it was time for John to find a career.
I tried journalism. I wasn't too good at that. And I tried accounting, and I was really bad at that. And I said, well, I like sports and I like history. Let's try that. I figured I would be a basketball coach. I looked for a basketball job. There wasn't any, but a good teaching job at North Farmington. And so I went in and interviewed, and they said, well, how about JV football? I said, well, I don't know much about football, but I'll give it a try. And coached basketball in 8th grade 1 year, had to practice at 6 in the morning, so that wasn't so good. But I just decided then a coach could make a great impact in football. And I love coaching JVs. We had a lot of fun there. And then I got the job at Harrison and never looked back.
When we come back, a brand new high school kicks off the 70s in rural Farmington Hills. John Herrington begins what would be a 48-year football coaching career at Harrison that continues today. We examine the first 20 years, the footing of the Hawk dynasty, when legends John Herrington returns.
I want to be a dermatologist, and though a lot of universities tried to recruit me for basketball, Lawrence Tech had the science curriculum that I wanted. LTU's Southfield campus is a great place to learn, and the classes are small enough that I don't have to wait for office hours to talk to my professors. They're usually right by my side, challenging me and guiding me toward a successful future. Lawrence Tech. Possible is everything.
Staying at home as a senior or adult with disabilities can be challenging. Get the extra help you need with Connected Care. Connected Care is a full-service healthcare agency providing medical, non-medical home care, and transportation services to clients. We provide a customized care plan matching them with qualified pre-screened caregivers. Connected Care offers assistance with daily living, therapy services, adult daycare, respite care, and non-emergency transportation. Log on to ConnectedCare3.com to get your free assessment. Maintain your independence with Connected Care.
Purchasing a home is your most important investment. Choose a mortgage lender who will provide a personal experience throughout the entire process. Coach Billy Slobin and his team at Mortgage One put communication and customer service first. Experience a high level of mortgage lending that has made Coach Slobin one of the most referred loan officers in the state.
With our attendance, attitude, and effort approach, getting the home you want is only a few clicks away.
Contact Mortgage One at teamslobin.com to start and close the lending process today. In the mid-20th century, Farmington Hills, Michigan wasn't even close to being the second largest city in Oakland County that it is today. But beginning in the late 50s, a dramatic growth took place over the next decade and a third high school was needed. Harrison opened its doors in 1970. John Herrington had a successful 9-year run as the JV coach at North Farmington that included a 36-game win streak and never more than 2 losses in a season. Herrington was hired as the new history teacher and varsity football coach. However, it was the early 70s. Vietnam, authority in question, big changes happening in the world.
We kind of had that thing where the jocks versus the freaks, and there was a few other problems going on, and then the government said that you could drink when you're 18. That made it a little tougher.
I remember one of the kids in our first scrimmage at Harrison was up there, and one of the linebacker came over and says, "Coach, will you hold my barrette?" And I said, "What? I got to hold a barrette for a kid?"
That's Bob Sutter, originally hired as the JV coach in 1970. By 73, he joined Herrington's staff and remained a fixture there for over 30 years. Along with another assistant, Bob Sallow, the mid-70s served as the laying of the foundation, new traditions that helped create the Hawk legacy.
The coach has got this desk in his room, and it's 100 years old, this old metal desk, and there's all kinds of stickers all over it. And so the STP, he started that, strength, toughness, and pride, and that was our Wednesday conditioning.
We had summer workouts, we had film study, things that some other schools didn't even get involved in until many, many, many years later. So it was quite a thing.
My favorite saying is, when you lose, you're never as bad as you think you are, and when you win, you're never as good as you think you are, so, as a coach. And then we just start building, and in 74 we had a really good team, lost our last game, and then in 76 we were in the Silver Dome, the first team to play in the Silver Dome.
Although the Hawks lost in their first trip to the finale, by the time the 80s rolled around, Harrison was on the precipice of becoming one of the state's most dominant programs for the next 25 years. In 1981, Harrison may have pulled off their biggest upset to date. Muskegon Catholic Central were the defending Class B champs and had won 22 of their last 23. They pulled off a stunning 7-0 upset and ushered in the Miller era. 4 Miller brothers were captains over the years for John Herrington. The youngest, John, was around the Hawk program his whole life up to that point.
Coach Herrington was that godlike figure. And then as you got older, you recognize, well, this is the guy I'm going to play for. But he was also a great family friend. So we got to know him in a personal sense. He definitely became a role model for me on top of all my brothers and sisters and my mom and dad.
A freight train of a running back and a ball hawk on defense, Miller was All-State 3 years, and Harrison won state titles in 1981 and 1982. Miller scored 73 touchdowns, snagged 20 interceptions in his 4 years wearing the Hawk green and gold. He went on to win a Rose Bowl and play in the NFL.
As far as football goes, and I ended up going and playing at Michigan State and then with Detroit, my high school experience by far was the greatest of my football experiences. And that was all because of Coach Herrington and the family atmosphere that he made it. When I had my first child, couldn't wait until I could get back to Farmington Hills to introduce my child to the person who meant so much to me. To now, when I'm 51 years old, when I need advice, when I just want someone to talk to, Coach Herrington, that's the guy that I call on.
Between 1988 and 1994, the Harrison Hawks won 5 more state championships. Why? STP, strength, toughness, and pride. That program was unlike any other. During the season and especially in the off-season, always preparing.
We like to think that the weight training enhanced the football, but the time spent weight training, bonding, growing together, I think that had something to do with our success.
Game preparation was also off the charts, or rather, on the charts. John Herrington had a scouting system as thorough as it got.
It was really good. We had down distance, field position, so on plays. I don't know if you know the system or not, but it had holes around it. And so you would take all the cards and you'd say all the first down plays and you'd put a knitting needle through it. You'd shake it and they'd come out on the floor. Then my wife would yell, all these little dots would be around the carpeting all the time. And then you'd put them together and then we did it all by hand. Ron Brown and other coaches did the scouting reports and took a long time.
And although John loved that traditional I formation featuring a power back offense, every once in a while you get that once-in-a-generation talent. In the late 80s, that was Mill Coleman.
Here's the snap, back to pass, rolling the right side, looking downfield, cocks his arm, throws a long one, he's got his man beat. It's at the 20, the 15, the 10, 5, touchdown.
He didn't try to force me to stay in the pocket. You know, I was much more dangerous on the perimeter, bootleg, having a run-pass option, and that's what we did a lot. We put a lot of pressure on the teams.
Coleman transferred into Harrison after his father got a job in Oakland County. There were some good football and education options. Brother Rice, Detroit Country Day. Then there was his public school, Farmington Hills Harrison.
So we met with the principal, the administration, and I had a videotape of me of one of my best games as a 9th grader in Albion. And so Coach Herrington knew we were coming, and I show up at his door, and I knock on his door in class, and he was very nice and cordial, but he probably was expecting to see like a 6-foot, 200-pound football player, and he gets this 5'8", 5'9" kid at his door weighing 160 pounds, and you could tell he was like, oh, okay, hey, he was very nice. But so I give him the videotape. So I'm in the gymnasium area on the first floor, meeting with, meeting some other players, some other students and teachers, and all of a sudden, Coach Herrington comes out of the elevator and comes around the corner, and his whole demeanor changed. Like, hey, how you doing? And so my big joke is, you didn't want me when you first saw me, but as soon as you looked at the videotape, your whole demeanor changed.
Mill the Thrill was a dual-threat dazzler in his 3 years at Harrison, 7,465 yards passing and 77 touchdowns, 4th best all-time in the state. He also rushed for 4,000 more yards that resulted in a state finals appearance every year under center and 2 state titles. He went on to play QB and receiver at Michigan State, also competed with the Chicago Bears in the NFL, as well as time in the Canadian Football League. The 1988 and 1989 Harrison Hawks went 26-0.
There was never a doubt in anyone's mind that Mill was going to lead us to victory. As a football fan, it was great. In fact, it was a little anticlimactic going to Michigan the first year during the Elvis Gerbeck era. The first game we went down to Notre Dame, I thought it was great, but then we lost. I didn't know what to do. It was the first game I'd witnessed that we had lost in 3 years.
Coming up on State Champs Legends, John Herrington, the most successful era of Herrington football, led by a kid from Oregon, who you can watch on Sundays today. He's joined by several more dotting NFL rosters with Hawk pride. Stay with us.
Happy holidays from the Zott Auto Group, DealsInAD.com, and the entire Zott family.
We are proud Harrison alumni.
Class of 82.
Class of 85.
Class of 88.
Class of 89. Harrison High School has had one dynamic football coach.
Full of strength, toughness, and Hawk pride.
Who won more games than any coach in Michigan history.
Thank you, Coach Herrington, and congratulations.
From your players,
your students,
your parents, your boosters,
your cheerleaders, band,
and your community.
Go Hawks!
Discover authentic Michigan-made breads from Knickerbocker Baking Company. Knickerbocker offers a large assortment of sandwich bread and buns baked daily. Try our amazing Camel Jack chocolate bread, our awesome cherry walnut, apple walnut, raisin, and apple cinnamon bread. Our flavored breads are great toasted or plain right out of the bag. Choose flavor and taste with Knickerbocker bread. From our family to yours.
When you graduate from Northwestern Tech, heating and cooling companies take notice. And getting noticed is nice, but even better when it comes with respect.
With a demand for HVAC techs and the type of money you can make in this industry, skilled tradespeople are getting the respect that they deserve.
Hands-on training, experienced instructors, and thousands of Northwestern Tech graduates.
In just 10.5 months, you can have the career and the respect you deserve.
Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works.
We are Brother Rice.
We are students.
We are athletes.
We are involved.
We are Catholics. We are brothers.
We are warriors.
The first 20 years of John Herrington's coaching tenure at Farmington Hills Harrison were incredible. 7 state championship appearances, 4 state titles. They ended the 80s winning 26 in a row, but the best was still to come. The 1990s would produce 7 more finals runs with 6 more championships, including 3 in a row.
Oh my God. So exciting. So exciting, so much fun. I mean, you couldn't wait, and this has really never changed for me, but you couldn't wait to get in the weight room, get your hands on those guys, and help them become everything that they can become.
There were 3 Bryant brothers that played at Harrison. During the mid to late 90s, the youngest, Ricky Bryant, is the only Hawk in Harrison history to start all 4 years. Bryant was a home run hitter, a wideout, who gathered up 2,665 total receiving yards, 33 touchdowns, 2 rings. And even though he went on to play college football at Ohio State, Hofstra, and briefly in the NFL, when asked about tradition, it will always be about his time as a Hawk.
They will hear every story. They will see every VHS, DVD. They will see all the memorabilia that we have. They can take things away from us, but you can never take away that tradition that Coach Herrington built. The things that he has instilled in us, we can instill in our kids.
A special team for Herrington, 1999, having to forfeit 2 games because of an ineligible player who had flunked a class they didn't know about. John was crushed, but the team found a way in at 5-4 and won the title.
Nobody would have known probably. We had a self-report, and we said, well, our reputation is good, and we got to do the right thing. And Coach Sutter and Coach Witkowski, who were with me, said, we all sat down and said that. It was the saddest day of my life. But, well, not the saddest of my life, but football life. And then to go on and win it that year was something.
As we ushered in the new millennia, defenses were again dumbfounded. Coming all the way from Lake Oswego, Oregon, Drew Stanton never lost a game under center for the Hawks. The team went 28-0, 2 more state championships. He completed 65% of his passes, 5,593 yards, 58 touchdowns, many to standout wideout Agim Shabai. Stanton was a 3-year starter at Michigan State and was taken by the Lions in the second round of the 2007 NFL Draft. Currently with the Arizona Cardinals, Drew owes a lot to Coach Herrington.
He helped build a foundation that, propelled me to the next level. I showed up to Michigan State and I didn't feel like it was too big for me. I didn't feel like I didn't belong or I had to have this huge adaptation period. It was like, okay, I know what to expect. I know how to approach it. From that point on, being able to rely on those values that not only he taught me, but Coach Sutter and everybody else within that program. It was huge for me to be able to have that confidence moving forward.
John Herrington has cemented his name as arguably the greatest coach in Michigan high school history. Despite profound personal loss and currently dealing with a future that will no longer have Harrison High School, Herrington presses on and just keeps winning. The conclusion of State Champs legends John Herrington when we return.
Fundraising should be fresh, flavorful, and simple. We have the perfect solution at Hungry Howie's. Dough Raiser. Your team or school can sell paper pizza certificates that can be redeemed for one medium pizza at participating locations.
We've been doing this fundraiser for about 4 years, and it's the easiest and best and most profitable fundraiser they have in Michigan.
Go to doughraiser.com to learn more and sign up. Your next fundraiser comes with flavored crust. Welcome to Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser.
Here's to the tradesmen, the service techs, the installers, the HVAC guys and women, the ones that work with their hands and take pride in keeping the rest of us comfortable. They succeed with hard work and don't have much respect for those that don't. They embody the grit of their city while quietly enjoying the American dream. Here's to the drink after work tasting even better, because they know it was earned.
Why pay your bank monthly fees for checking? Switch to Diversified Members Credit Union and learn how you can earn money every month with our Give Back Checking.
This rewards checking account gives you cash back every month you use your debit card at least 15 times and are enrolled in e-statements.
Get $10 cash back plus up to $25 in ATM fee refunds each month that you qualify.
This checking account has no fees, and if you don't qualify one month, just try again next month.
Sign up for Give Back Checking with Diversified Members Credit Union by visiting dmcu.com.
Since 2001, John Herrington and his Hawks have made it to 3 more state championship games, including this season. The 2010 state champs went undefeated and featured 3 guys who would reach the National Football League. His style has always connected and prepared his players.
He always made jokes, but he always got serious when he needed to be and got us ready every week. At Harrison, we watch a lot of film. A lot of high schools don't do that, so when I got to Michigan State, I was kind of familiar with the process of how to get ready and prepare each week. So I thank Coach Herrington for that.
One of the hallmarks of Hawk football is there were always former state champs and big-time collegiate athletes who would always come back to practice, paying it forward.
We had the Games with Boz, Drew Stantons, the Tim Mumfords, the Mark Dales. We had some talent. I mean, we had guys that were at the school. Milcombe, let me throw him out there too. I don't want him mad at me. It was just fun to be around because being in public school and not in the DPS and not in the Catholic League is different. We loved the coaching that Coach Herrington had, and it was a phenomenal program to be around.
John Herrington became a coaching icon early in his career. He was inducted into the Michigan High School Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame over 30 years ago. The Herrington Athletic Complex was officially dedicated in John's honor earlier this season. He describes some of the attractions.
It's great back here. This was once named the Sutter Herrington Plaza. We have all the state championships names back there. Over there we have a memorial. I said I wouldn't get emotional, but what are you going to do?
Fran and John Herrington were married for 38 years, and she was every bit as involved with the team. Until her passing in the spring of 2001, Fran ran the Booster Club. She organized all the parents. She ran a mother's football class to teach moms about the game. She also created the tradition of team dinners.
I remember Fran being always decked out in the Harrison shirt, and she had that great smile. And it was so important for her to be a part of the football program. And she was the Harrison mom. She was the ringleader.
One of the traditions Fran loved and everyone loves, the Turkey Bowl. Alumni get together the day after Thanksgiving for a touch football game. What makes it extra special? When the Hawks are preparing in the stadium for a state final the next day, as was the case in 2017. A long-standing tradition of the team lining up to thank the guys who came before them. A band of brothers offering up their full support. When you talk about John Herrington's legacy, you have to recognize his staff, some who have been with him for decades. The late Bob Sallow, John Witkowski, Ron Holland, Jim Weston, David Thorne, Mill Coleman, Billy Slobin, and now John Herstein, just to name a few. And you could argue there was never a better 1-2 punch than John Herrington and his 37-year-long right-hand man, Bob Sutter. When Sutter retired due to vision problems, on his way out, he made sure his replacement was up to speed.
Coaching tips like, John, coach faster. Hey, you should do this drill this way. Or, hey, why are you running that right there? All right. And then, just kind of keep me going. And I always was appreciative of him for that.
To sum up John Herrington, STP, strength, toughness, and pride. This always meant more than just Wednesday's workouts.
Kids will come back and still remember it, and when they have things going on in their life that are pretty tough, they'll talk about that. I love being called coach, Well, I guess I better think about this because it could be coming pretty soon. Just remember that I was fair, and they enjoyed the experience. And we'll always remember being a Hawk.
You look at not only the number of wins he's had, just the type of men that he molded and prepared for not only football but for life, and the lessons that we learned. He created a culture that really made you gravitate towards him and what he was trying to accomplish, and he demanded success.
If we could change one thing, no offense to former Superintendent Gerald Harrison, but for the final year of its existence as a school, let's just call it Farmington Hills Herrington High School. Sure would be fitting.